The recording has started. Your conference recording has stopped. This conference is being recorded.
There have been times in my life I've been wondering why. Still somehow I believe we'd always survive. Now I'm not so sure you waited here. Just what good reason to try. No more can I say what's left to provide. You think, baby, it's over. Not even I wanted to be. I'm going for a sign, a miracle. Well, stand up and fight, sing it out tonight. Yeah. Ain't gonna stay where you are. Your back's to the corner. Don't be a fool anymore. The waiting is over. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Time for wondering why. It's here. The moment is now. About to decide. Let them believe. Leaving behind, but keep me near your heart. And know, whatever I do, I'll be there by your side. You say, baby, it's over. Only if you want it to be. Here's your miracle. Stand up and fight. Ain't gonna stay where you are. You're going to want till it's over and done. No one can tell you for you know. To make the choice of how to go. There's nothing to be sad. You know, make no mistake when you are. You're going no further. Until it's over and no way for your love. No one can tell what the future holds. Nobody can tell, nobody knows. You make the choice you may be on the doors of your life. No one can tell what the future holds. What you know, walk and see what the future holds. You make the choice. It's up to you and you and you and you and you and you. Kenny Loggins, everybody. Kenny Loggins. Thank you. We love you, Mark. The great Kenny Loggins, everybody.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just. I greet all of you who are in your hearts want to be righteous. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's salam alaikum. Before beginning tonight, I want to give those of you who want to question me about something that I'm teaching or something that you have heard that you disagree with, I'm willing to discuss it with you. Because as long as you or me say we don't like what a person is espousing or teaching, and then that person makes themselves available to be questioned or to be argued with, then that is, if nothing else, shows that the person is sincere and believe that what they are espousing or sharing with you is true. So justice would dictate that you confront them face to face and let them explain themselves to you as to why they say what they say or do what they do. It's just like just a moment. Someone in New York, and it's not important what their name is. They sent me a little book. It's a softback, and it has the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's name on there, and his picture. And at the same time, it has on there, if you can see it, it says actual facts. And as you open it up, and he addressed it to me, this brother who sent this is from Aksanen, and then PTAH.TUM. And it's from Queens Village, and in New York. And the brother, he said, I greet you in peace, son of man. Then he says, Minister Marvin Muhammad. My name is Brother Aksanen Pita Tum Ak Hakim Ahmed Kasim. And he said his late dad and him, he said, my late dad and I were given an assignment by my godfather, Dr. Malachi Z. York, a.k.a. Baba Yanan, to assist with the book enclosed. actual fact, the message of the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is right and exact. Son of man, you are a great representation of the teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad via Allah in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. I commend you on your constant consistency to the. This is the first time I'm reading this. When I got it, you know, I don't generally look up. I don't look for other books. Now I'm not here for that. I'm kind of like David when they tried to give him all of that armor and stuff to go up against Goliath. He told me, you keep that. I can't use that. You know, he was used to dealing with his sling and them five smooth stones that he had there. But anyway, it says, thank you for your sacrifices. He said, I commend you on your constant consistency to the original teachings and mission. Thank you for your sacrifices, and may the Most High bless you and your family. I pray this correspondence personally reaches you in good health and strong spirit and soul and body, you know. And then they signed it. And, you know, I want to say that many of you think that you are being taught, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He said, many of you think that you are following angels of light. He said, but you will soon come to know that they are angels of darkness. And, you know, as I was looking at some of the things that people have changed in what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't allow us to change his teachings and then put his name on it. And so it's just like you'll notice in the little book, I'm talking to the brother who sent me this. You'll notice when you gave me the student enrollment, actually in the student enrollment, it's not, the first lesson is not actual facts, it's student enrollment. And it asked, the first question that's asked is, who is the original man? And a lot of the brothers, they changed that from what it originally read. The question was, who is the original man? And the answer was, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. But you hear some of the people, they add father of civilization. Well, that's not actually part of the student enrollment. That's something that some of the ministers stood up and added to that student enrollment. The original student enrollment was, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. Didn't say nothing about father of civilization. And so it's much that can be, said about now looking back, trying to go back and grab what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. I'm not trying to get you to go back and grab what he taught. You're not in that time now. You are in the time, the foundation has been laid. That's what he did. He laid the foundation. You're in the day where the master builder is here now. The mind builder is here. That's what master, as the mind is the master of the body. Then I'm the master builder. I'm here to build up the mind in you that will guide you to to righteousness and truth. So I want you to put all of that others, all these other teachers that claim to be teaching you, since my forum is open and they don't have to travel to see me. All they have to do is walk to their telephone and pick it up and dial in, and then they can talk with me. And you don't have to make an appointment to do so. All you have to do is come into class, and you can press *6 on your phone, and that will unmute you. And if you have a civilized behavior when you come in here, you and I can have a dialogue, and we can have if you want, a debate or whatever. I'm not standing up teaching that which I'm afraid to be questioned about. If I cannot take questions on that which I claim to be teaching, then I can't teach it. Because, a teacher is supposed to be thoroughly furnished with the answers to whatever questions they created by what they were teaching. So I'm, and it's just like many of them will say, well, he won't let me talk. Well, tell them that I said I will let them host the broadcast. Then they can tell me when I can talk. Because I'm not afraid of anything they're going to say either. You see, there's, it doesn't make any difference whether you're the guest or I'm the guest. The truth is God. And whoever God is with have nothing to fear for either being the guest or the host. Because either way it go, if God be with you, if God be for you, no one can be successful against you. So now I want to what is the point of offering insincere condolences? It is, people in this world, they, like I said, when you're alive, they lie on you. And when you die, sometimes they lie for you. And I'm the kind of person, if I give you most people, when they say, man, I'm giving you your props, they don't know what that means. One of y'all tell me what that means. Unmute your phone and tell me. How people say all the time, they say, I'm giving you your props, man. I was just trying to give you your props. What do you mean by that? See, that's what happens. That's what happens when you just hear someone else say something and you just pick it up and start repeating it. It's like a bird that said, when you stand up there teaching a parakeet to say, Polly want a cracker. And once he repeated, he still don't understand what he's saying. That bird don't know what it's talking. It just is mimicking the sound that you have made it, that you have given it. But if you ask the parrot, what did you say? He may say it again, probably want a cracker. And ask him why. He's not going to say it because I'm hungry. Do you understand? So I want you to know what you are saying. People, they're giving you your prompts. Now remind me to get back to that while you're thinking over it. I know that's the first time you actually thought about it, probably. So now I'm giving you a chance to go over in your mind what it really means. But anyway, I want you to hear this. Rick. And because the McCain family requested that they do this, and as I thought I would do it also, just in case some people hadn't heard it.
Davis, the longtime political ally and campaign manager for Senator John McCain, just read a statement that was written by the late senator. He wrote this apparently as a farewell message. Let's listen.
As John McCain faces mortality, he asked that a letter that he has done be read. This will be somewhat difficult, so if you'll bear with me, these are John's final words, and the family's asked that we present these to you today. There will be copies put out by the Senate office shortly after this event. These are John's words. My fellow Americans, whom I have gratefully served for 60 years, and especially my fellow Arizonians, thank you for the privilege of serving you and for the rewarding life that service in uniform and in public office has allowed me to lead. I've tried to serve our country honorably. I have made mistakes, but I hope my love for America will be weighed favorably against them. I've often observed that I am the luckiest person on earth. I feel that way even now as I prepare for the end of my life. I've loved my life, all of it. I've had experiences, adventures, friendships, enough for 10 satisfying lives, and I am so thankful. Like most people, I have regrets, but I would not trade a day of my life, in good or bad times, for the best day of anybody else's. I owe the satisfaction to the love of my family. One man has never had a more loving wife or children he was prouder of than I am of mine. And I owe it to America to be connected to America's causes: liberty, equal justice, respect for the dignity of all people. Brings happiness more sublime than life's fleeting pleasures. Our identities and sense of worth are not circumscribed, but are enlarged by serving good causes bigger than ourselves. Fellow Americans, that association has meant more to me than any other. I lived and died a proud American. We are citizens of the world's greatest republic, a nation of ideals, not blood and soil. We are blessed and are a blessing to humanity when we uphold and advance those ideals at home and in the world. We have helped liberate more people from tyranny and poverty than ever before in history, and we have acquired great wealth and power in the progress. We weaken our greatness when we confuse our patriotism with tribal rivalries that have sown resentment and hatred and violence in all the corners of the globe. We weaken it when we hide behind walls rather than tear them down, when we doubt the power of our ideals rather than trust them to be the great force for change they have always been. We are 325 million opinionated, vociferous individuals. We argue and compete and sometimes even vilify each other in our raucous public debates. But we have always had so much more in common with each other than in disagreement. If only we remember that and give each other the benefit of the presumption that we all love our country, we will get through these challenging times. We will come through them stronger than before. We always do. 10 years ago, I had the privilege to concede defeat in the election for president. I want to end my farewell to you with heartfelt faith in Americans that I felt so powerfully that evening. I feel it powerfully still. Do not despair of our present difficulties. We believe always in the promise and greatness of America because nothing is inevitable here. Americans never quit. We never surrender. We never hide from history. We make history. Farewell, fellow Americans. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much for your patience with me today. And with that, I'll be happy to open up to any questions. And Kelly,
I see you have it, Joe.
Sometimes after the after the senator is laid to his final rest, I think I'm going to play back that last message.
Oh, man, we can't hear you, sir.
I think sometime after this, Senator McCain is laid to his final rest, I'm going to play that back and share with you what I got out of it, what he said. Because there was, to me, a lot of wisdom in his words. Not vindictiveness either. Just heartfelt words that he started off addressing to, reminding people that regardless to who you are, where you are, if you are a citizen of this country, you are his fellow American. And, I don't care where you go on the earth. Most of us haven't thought about it. But even if you tried to hide the fact that you are an American, sooner or later, your actions and your words would give you away. Because, it's just like in most societies where democracy is not a practice, and the freedoms that people have and take for granted in America, just take it for granted that that is the norm. It's only the norm in a society like yours. And so where other people may in times of peace and whatnot, sometimes hear their leaders or see their leaders do things that they don't particularly like, yet they will remain silent. They won't say anything. Somebody from America might holler that that's not right, that's wrong, and you shouldn't do it. And the next thing you know, you're in jail or whatever, because you forgot where you were. But anyway, it don't make no difference where you are. I mean, if you take a lion and put him in a mansion, he's still going to be a lion. And you can take him and put him wherever you put him. That's you just putting the lion in a different environment, but the lion is still going to be a lion. And an American, you know, people, no matter what you are, whatever civilization you grew up in, that don't change. Your character just don't change like that just because you in some place that may be totally foreign to what you're used to. And then you start to discover how valuable or how worthless the things that you held as your principles really are. So, so I will wait, and we will go back over that over the parting words that he had for, as he put it, his fellow Americans. And so it's something that took place today that I think that I should say something about. For they took the flags off of half-mast and raised them back up over the White House. And you know, a civilized society. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad he gave me an example of what civilized behavior is. When I have to go back to the time when I had never heard the word Muslim. And I was around 12 years old. And I say that because I was 12 or 13, because I was in junior high school. And I think President John F. Kennedy got shot in 62, wasn't it? 63? Okay. Well, I was 12 or 13. And I had never even heard the word Muslim. And now I found out about this later. I had heard the name Malcolm X, but it didn't really register, and it didn't have a good connotation in my mind. I just, it didn't send no signal either way. But Malcolm X, I mean, what is that? That's what, that's about how I felt about it, And so then I found out later that when I joined the nation, and then I got a history of what took place, and it just made me have a greater faith in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as someone from God. Because I was older now, I was in my 20s, my early 20s. I was 22 years old when I joined the Nation of Islam. And still immature, but I had a lot more maturity at that age than most people who were that age. And so when I, as I started analyzing and as the teachings of the Nation of Islam attracted my attention, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad became my leader and teacher, and the man to whom I gave my loyalty to, then I found out histories about those whom he referred to as hypocrites, of which Malcolm X was one. And so when I checked it out, when President Kennedy had gotten murdered, I know people say assassinated. I say murdered, period. That is what really happened. He was murdered. And the messenger told people, he told all of his ministers, don't say anything about the death of the president. And when all of them obeyed him, but the reporters found Malcolm, because Malcolm was the most prolific and the most high profile one, but he was the national spokesman at that time. And Malcolm had already been having issues. And actually, he had lost his faith, really. And they put a microphone in his face and asked him about the death of the president. And Malcolm, instead of following orders, he decided that he needed to remind the white people that the chickens done came home to roost. And so he was talking about him being old farm boy himself. When I send my chickens out, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, I'm not surprised when they come back to roost. And the messenger, when he heard that Malcolm had did that, he set him down for 90 days. And he came back and told he made a public statement, and I think it was in the Muhammad Speaks, that when Minister Malcolm said what he said about the death of the president, he was not speaking for the Nation of Islam, he was speaking for himself. And we too mourn the death of our president. But the messenger knew that Malcolm and all of those that were there, that they did not truly understand the depth of what he was teaching. That's why he simply told them, just be quiet, don't say nothing. Because a civilized man knows that you don't, even at an enemy, if you think that they are your enemy, and they are the head of state, what useful purpose is it to insult their memory or whatever in the eyes of those who love them? That's petty and it's uncivilized. And is that doing unto others as you would have others do unto you? So, you know, I've learned that, you know, if you're going to be, it's just like those priests. If you're not going to live up to that standard of what that office or position requires, don't take that office. It's nothing wrong if someone come up to you and ask you to, would you perform brain surgery on my heart, a triple bypass on my child? I know you love them and I know you. If you know you don't know how to do that, why would you say yes and you get in there cutting on somebody and you really know you're not up to it? No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't. Would you get in the cockpit of a plane just because people that you care about asked you to get up there and fly the plane? Or would you use your intelligence and say, look, I can do a lot of things, but flying a plane ain't one of them. We need to find somebody who can do that. Huh? Do you know how foolish you sound? Talking about you want to be in an arena that you have no understanding of, and yet you are seeking a position, the highest position of that arena, the highest position of any man in the political arena of America is the presidency of the United States. There's no higher political position. And you elected a man who knows nothing about politics, and you put him in a strictly political a necessarily in the most political office on the planet. If you want to put out a fire, you don't, if you can help it, you don't send a volunteer fire brigade there. You send professional firefighters there. And that's not to take anything away from the volunteer. Now you got everybody and his brother thinking that they can run for the highest office in the land because you done lowered the standard. I would never tell you, because I can't measure up, you should lower the bar. I would just say that's something that I just can't do. Then let someone else do it. There's other people who could do it. But no, you don't have to lower the bar for me. People that really care about you, they want what's best for you. It's like a lot of things I know that John McCain went along with that he didn't really want to go along with. But he did it like someone who knew that, look, one battle is not always going to cause the war to end. And if you want to be in there to make sure that you are there to help end the war and win in the end, sometimes you have to be willing to let one battle be won by the opposite side while you regroup. It is I think when in history they had General MacArthur, his famous words was, "I shall return." And now I don't know the whole history of that, but that obviously was a battle that he didn't win. But he did return. And it was a whole different thing when he got back. I'm assuming that it was different. But, so I'll always remember the respect that he showed for me by respecting a black man that was president. And even before he was president, he was a senator. And he kept that dignity that should always be kept when two men have been in a great nation, and those two men are competing for the office of the highest office of that nation. He understood that it was an honor to even be one of those two men. How many people can say they even ran for president and was in the final decision between him and another man. For millions of people respected him enough to let him throw his hat in the ring, and they threw their votes behind him. So that's nothing to be ashamed of, even in losing, because you were in there. You were in the running. Others threw their hat in the ring and they were rejected. Put him up. It gonna take you that long? So, and to hell with you, the one who did that. Amen, amen, and amen. You know, it's a lot of things I can put up with. I can put up with somebody coming in here arguing with me, because that is what men and women do when they think you are wrong about something or whatnot. They will come in and they will express their disagreement and give you a chance to explain yourself. But people who just do things to purposely disrespect you when you have not did anything to earn that disrespect, you deserve hell. It's nothing I hate more than a peace breaker. So now you got what you wanted. So you don't do yourself no favor by lowering a standard that has been the common standard, and people understood that they had to come up. They had to rise above the average or the common. And you had to be a little above common in order to run for that office. And the American people have a right to demand that you be above average, above common. Any nation that's worth its salt, they always want their best to represent them. I mean, why do you have first string, second string, third string on? I think they got think they have a first and a second string on the football field, don't they? And first string, second string on the basketball court, ain't it? Okay. But what do they start the game with generally? First string, man. Now, if we can't find nobody that's above average, then we have to settle for that. Settle for average. But you always want the best in the position to meet the opponents, don't you? So you live in a world of sport and play, and you didn't understand that principle. And proof of that, look at you. Look what you done sent to meet the world. I want to show you something else.
Campaign manager as well for Senator John McCain.
Was very complicated.
Let's bring
Senior senator for Arizona. That person will serve until 2020, the general election, when there will be a new opportunity for voters to make a decision. Craig?
Governor Donald Force there in Arizona. Kelly, thank you. Let's bring in presidential historian Mark Updegrove and Hugh Hewitt, conservative radio talk show host, also an MSNBC political analyst. Hugh, the flag on the Capitol building, as we just showed our viewers there, still at half staff today at the White House. That flag fully raised this morning. As you know, probably in recent years, the tradition for sitting senators who die in office has been to lower the flags from death until burial. Obama issued proclamations for Senator.
Babalusha, brother, digger.
So now, was that the same person? Well then, sir? Look, put all of the anonymous people that do that, put them out. Because that's a coward anyway. I ain't got no time for no cowards in here. I hate cowards. I have more respect for a man who would just come up. Like I said, somebody like David Duke. At least David Duke, he speak up and stand and face you and tell you what. I have no stomach for a coward. Now, if he was any kind of man, he wouldn't be hiding his phone number. He ain't nothing. So I don't want them kind of people in here. I don't want none of them kind of people in my class. You see, a man like I was saying, David Duke, he was honest about what he is. He come up and look at you in your face and tell you this is what it is with me. I can respect that. But, ain't no sense in this person even trying to talk to me no more, because I already sentenced you to hell. That's one of the reasons why you're going to be in hell, because I won't talk to you no more. I talk to try to save people. When I stop speaking to you, once I cast you into hell, I don't want to hear from nothing that you got to say no more. You just talking to the air. So ain't no sense in coming in here. Yeah. And any of them funny numbers that how people don't learn to do that. When they clown, you put them out, and I don't want them back in here. Matter of fact, when it's one of them fake numbers, don't even let them in here. I don't want to be bothered with people that's so cowardly that they think they need to hide themselves. No, this is an adult arena here. This is not for fools. I'm not in here to talk to swine and dogs. The scripture says, cast not your pearls before swine, neither give that which is holy unto the dogs. So now that I've seen people try to do that in the White House, and they put them out. Huh? Right, he ain't gonna let you stand up and then act a fool in his presence. let you in there, and then you want to come in there and act a fool. He said, well, no, not in the house. Get him out of here. He can't come in here. You know. So now watch this. See, the thing that we showing is, you know, what you have chose as a leader for the free, as you call it, the free world, a racist bigot, and who's not truly a racist. In the true sense of the word, a racist is someone who purportedly loves his race regardless to whom or what. Well, how can you claim you love white people and you dishonoring John McCain, who is a white man? How can you claim you love white people and you don't say nothing about these white people killing white people? You're a liar. You don't love nobody.
Q&A session started.
By the way, as well as Supreme Court Justice Scalia, what does it tell you, or what should it tell all of us, seeing that President Trump has not issued such a proclamation to keep the flag lowered? Well, I hope it's an oversight, Craig, because Senator McCain deserves it. He is widely.
That's not what he asked him. He didn't ask him, what do you hope? He asked, what does it tell you? You see, that's the thing I'm trying to get all of you to remember. You see, if you ask a person a legitimate question and they give you an answer that actually is answering something that you didn't ask them, then you should stop them and say, wait a minute, that's not what I asked you. Did you misunderstand my question? You know, that's, you know, learn to not only, I mean, when you learn to listen to yourself, and people that are self-conscious, they do listen to themselves. A self-conscious person is a self-critical person. You know, before I start criticizing other people, I criticize myself. You see, that's the thing that helps me and has helped me in life to listen to other people. I've gotten used to listening to myself. So now, Hugh Hewitt is answering a question that he wasn't asked. Now, just listen.
Recognized for being the American hero that he is. And in fact, I'm along with Chuck Schumer and a bunch of Democrats hoping they change the Richard Russell Senate building to be named for Senator McCain, a man much more deserving of that honor for the oldest Senate building up on Capitol Hill. So I don't know the background yet. I know the president did not answer a question about it during the NASA phone call today, but it's an egregious oversight at best. But Hugh, you don't think this was an oversight? You can't think that President Trump just forgot to issue the proclamation. No, I mean, at best, it's an egregious oversight. If he did it intentionally, it is a horrendous political mistake and a moral failing, because John McCain transcended.
Now, that's the one act that Mr. Trump did that you're not going to understand this, but I'm going to say it anyway. That's the one act that he did that I respected. And then he took that back. You know why Isaiah he took it back? Watch this. You see, I mean, he knows that how him and Mr. Senator McCain felt about each other. So no, I don't expect him to pretend. That's why when the person asked me was about to interject Mr. Trump into yesterday's meeting when I was honoring Mr. McCain, I told him, no, that has no place in here. I'm not going to get into talking about Mr. Trump in this. No. I don't need you to say, everybody knows how Mr. Trump felt about John McCain, right? Okay. Then why should he come out now pretending that it wasn't so? Huh? No, he disrespected him in life, and I don't expect him to respect him in death. Do you understand? Now, watch this.
Bureau Chief George F. Wilson. He's a war.
Kasich, thank you for taking a few minutes. Steve, thank you. Senator John McCain was a decorated war veteran, as we said, an accomplished political maverick. That was his reputation, certainly, as praise continues to pour in from across the nation and around the world. One man, as we said, until this afternoon and again this evening, had remained muted on this. That was the president, Donald Trump. And of course, there is a history here. You are probably well aware of it. The two of them first clashing when the Arizona senator criticized the then presidential candidate Trump for his characterization of Mexican immigrants as rapists and criminals. That back in 2015. Trump, who according to the Washington Post continually said that McCain was not a friend, then hit back at the senator. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? The background on that.
Now, one thing he's been true to, the minute that the people who was helping him do crooked stuff, when Michael Cohen got caught, what did Donald Trump start doing? Throwing him, kicking him to the curb, right? He don't like people who get caught or get captured, huh? Even if they was on his team, huh? You know, that's called desertion. When a person is with you till something happened to you, then they leave you. That's what the Quran says, the devil ever deserts man. That's a characteristic of the devil. Because the devil is a coward, like darkness. Darkness surround you. The minute light show up, darkness gone. Huh? False friendship is like that. False allegiance is like that. Because they never gave you their allegiance in the first place. They were just using you. You understand? So that's Donald Trump. He uses people, and when he can't use you no more, when he couldn't use the banks in America no more, he turned on America and started getting money from Russia. Just whoever he can use, that's who he likes. The minute he can't use you no more, which winds up being misusing you, he don't want nothing else to do with you. As far as he's concerned, you know, look at these people that have been around. Tried to say Michael Cohen was just every now and then did a little something for him. And he was saying the same thing, about to say the same thing about Manafort. That he didn't do much and he was just around, you know, now he's Manafort, the best man in the world. Why? Because Manafort still can hurt him. And so he's still trying to get him to knuckle under for him. He even called the people who decided to come clean to the Justice Department, he called them rats. But anyway, like I said, I respected the fact that he didn't try to put on no airs and say that he now I want to say something to honor a man that he didn't do nothing but boo-boo all over when every chance he got. Huh? When the man was alive. Now watch this.
Of course, back in the spring of 1968, Donald Trump, son of a wealthy New York State real estate developer, received the first in a series of what would turn out to be 5 deferments from the war in Vietnam. Meanwhile, at the same time, it was a young Captain McCain who was beaten within an inch of his life while in captivity in Vietnam. The Washington Post also reporting that the president continues to believe privately that McCain was not a war hero. For more, joined by Susan Page, USA Today Washington bureau chief, George F. Wiltz, syndicated columnist, and MSNBC contributor. Thanks to both of you for being with us. And I mentioned again, the president had been muted. I said at the top of the broadcast, we're getting word that at this hour, the president, in fact, is hosting some evangelical leaders at the White House. He just told them, according to our reporting, that, quote, our hearts and prayers are going out to the family of Senator John McCain, and we very much appreciate everything Senator McCain has done for our country. So the president.
Now, why would he say that? Because he's not even true to himself. He'd have done better to just say nothing than to be pressured into showing that he's not even a man who's true to himself. That's the one thing I admired David Duke for the stand that he took so publicly and was willing to talk to whoever wanted to talk to him. And he was, as far as I know, he still is a believer in what he said he was about. Do you understand? And he never yielded to pressure from these people or that people, whatnot, to just say what he thought they wanted to hear. And that at least if you say you may not like what he stands for, but you have to respect the fact that he truly does mean it, what he stands for. This man, Donald Trump, don't stand for nothing. He get with you and he figure out what you want to hear, and then he tell you that. He get with somebody else and find out what they want to hear, and he tell them that. And so now he gonna talk about our hearts and prayers go out to the family to the McCain family. They know he lying. He know he's lying. And everybody who knows him know he's lying. But here's a man who don't mind lying to you. He tell you that he's still telling you that the Russia investigation is a witch hunt. When in actuality, that's what he called for them crooks in Congress to do. Falsely investigate the FBI, say you looking for wrongdoing with them. There's the witch hunt. It's like the brother asked me the question yesterday about the FBI. Say they set a man up. No, they didn't set him up. They manifested that he was saying he's one thing, but he really was something else. You can't get no true representative of God to get involved in no fencing stolen property. The minute you come to him with some foolishness like that, you say, hey man, where you think you at? Get out of here. I remember this brother asked the messenger, Master Farad Muhammad, he said, I was told that Master Farad Muhammad was a drug dealer. And the messengers told him, he said, I don't think you done came here and bought any drugs, have you? And he said, we don't use drugs, and we don't. He just answered it and moved on. You know, people, when they can't find nothing, no fault in you, they slander you. I'm gonna lie on you, do anything. That's the only thing the wicked have is a lying tongue. That's all they got to defend their wickedness with. They have to tell a lie. And everybody who try to defend them wind up telling you lies too. You see? So you think about it just like that as I was looking at these songs, and songs of poetry, as I was looking at the words to some of these songs, and you can tell when something is inspired, that because when you hear it, it makes you think about a whole lot of other things. Even though just a couple of sentences or whatnot, it just like I have this poem here by Rudyard Kipling. I keep it, and I have it. My brother was kind enough to laminate it for me in some plastic, and I was thinking about that song that reminded me. I told you, if John McCain was to do when you hear about all of his history and the things that he suffered, if he had wrote his own biography, that song, which is a poem, could have been written by him about himself. Even, you notice, he had a last letter that he asked one of his friends to write for him as a message to the from him to the people of America. What that song said, and now the end is near, and I must face that final curtain. That's what darkness is. Darkness is a curtain pulled over there. When you close your eyes, everything go dark. And we do that every night. Pull the curtain. But it's one time we're going to face that final curtain. Right? That's sin. So he knew he was about to pass. He said, so my friends, and you notice that's how he talked too. When you listen to him, he said, look, my friend, huh? He said, my friends, I say it clear. I state my case of which I'm certain. And when Tom Brokaw asked him about his life, he said, did you love your life? He said, I've lived a life so full, I've traveled each and every highway. But more than this, I did it my way. Regrets? He asked him, did you have some regrets? Yeah, that time I remember this one time, he started talking about how he wished that he had not pretended that he was okay with the Confederate flag and all that kind of thing. Huh? Regrets? I have a few. But then again, too few to mention. I did what I felt I had to do. And I saw it through without exemption. Even when wars came that most young men, when I was a young man in the Marine Corps and volunteered, I didn't know what Vietnam was about. I didn't know what the war was about. But when they gave me my orders to go, I went. And Senator McCain, when he was a young man, he became a pilot in the Navy. He joined the Navy. The Navy don't draft. So he joined the Navy, became a pilot. He didn't start the war, he just fought the war. Do you understand? And so he said, I saw it through without the exemptions. Didn't try to become exempt, like the man who's insulting him. I planned each charted course. Now that is something that as a people, Caucasian people can say collectively. And at the same time, the leadership, especially the scientific community, those who have had the knowledge of really what's been really going on, those who coined the phrase, well, speak of the devil, that I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway. You notice, every roadway has a byway, a side of the road, a wayside. So, as I planned, I ain't gonna go into the depth of that, but I know that they was made, as the messenger said, that he wasn't made to teach you the reality of God. He was made to take you away from the reality. And so he says, I've planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and much more than this, I did it my way. And this is where, like God, he told him he made him in his image after his likeness and gave him dominion. So, and he did that. And so then back to the personal side of it with Mr. McCain. He said, I'm sure there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. You remember when he was captured and they offered to let him go because his father was an admiral, and he elected to follow the agreement that all of them had, all of the prisoners had, that those who were captured first, you would go in the order that you was captured. And so he decided he wasn't going to take that. And not only did he have a broken arm when he crashed after being shot down, then while he was in prison, they broke his arms again purposely to make him sign something that he didn't want to sign. And so there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I chewed it up. I know he said, the song say I ate it up. No, that's not how it should have went. It said I chewed it up and spit it out. I didn't swallow it. Huh? I faced it all and I stood tall and still did it my way. Huh? And it goes on to say, now, what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, and I just add there to make sure you understood and you understood what I heard. If not respect for himself, then he has not. And then the next verse says, to say the things he truly feels. He has not the courage. If he don't have no self-respect, he does not have the courage to say the things he really feels. And not the word of one who yields, Ma. And not cowardly words, or not the words of a coward who yields to pressure to say this and say that, rather than say what you truly feel. You got to be a man to speak what you truly feel, instead of what somebody pressuring you to say. Huh? It says, so the record shows I took the blows and did it my way. That is a deep song. It's an inspired song. It's the song that everybody can't say. Everybody can't sing that song. The words become hollow in the mouth of a man like Donald Trump. So you can get mad at me all you want. It don't make no difference to me. Because I ain't said nothing but the truth. Read something else to you. This is from the Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you, everyone around you is losing theirs and blaming it on you. Huh? You know, this is something that can be applied in many ways. It's just like it's easy for a weak person to blame others for their own fault, for their own lack of strength to do for themselves what they should do. It's easier to say they won't let me, or he stopped me, or they stopped me, or this their fault. If it wasn't for them, I could have did this and could have did. Oh, that's just a weak mind trying to justify its weakness. It says, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. You know, when you really know the truth, when you know you really understand, not just have ideals, but when you truly understand the value of those ideals, of what you stand for and why, then you don't mind people who think that you're wrong or whatever, and they want to tell you you're wrong. You can allow that. You can have a conversation with them and say, okay, show me where I'm wrong. When you can, that's what that's saying to you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. Yeah. I remember once the messenger was teaching, and he was talking about how the some of the government people here would tell him, say, well, Elijah, you know, those over in the East don't believe like you. And the messenger said, well, that's natural. He said, because they don't know this. They've never heard this. You know, they don't, they can't go along with something that they ain't never heard before. So, and he made allowance for that. It's just like with me. I tell people all the time, look, if you have I know this is new to you. I know what I'm teaching, you never heard it before. So I'm willing to discuss it with you. So he says, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, the only way you can, what I thought about when I read this, it says, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, and don't deal in lies. When you are, one of the reasons why people don't recognize that God answers prayers. If you are a believer, then you know that Allah is not your servant. You are his servant. And when you ask for something, then you should ask knowing that if it's not something vain or whatever, Allah will give it to you when he pleases. And so you don't, when you're dealing with even in this world, when you are in the waiting room for a doctor, haven't you noticed most people when they at the doctor's office, they know the doctor is the most important one in the building. And they'll sit there and 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 do just what their name requires them to do. Be patient. That's what they call you at the hospital, a patient. And that name reminds you of what you have to be. You have to be patient and wait for others who were before you. When the doctor gets to you, you don't want him rushing saying, well, I got to get on and see about somebody else right now. I can't spend as much time as I need to spend with you. No. So you sit there and you wait. Well, it's the same when you go to a place where you are seeking a job or whatnot, no matter how long you have to wait, you notice. You sit there and you don't get tired of waiting and walk out. Yeah, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting. Because when someone has something that you want or need, it's not up to you to tell them how long to take. It's up to you to wait until they get to you. So, or being lied about, and don't deal in lies yourself. You know, you don't let people cause you to become what you condemned them for being. Well, if I'm going to call a man a liar, then I start doing what he doing, talking about, well, I'll pay him back. I'll fix it. Well, you ain't paying him back. You just joined forces with him. And he probably going to sure enough beat you then, because you might be just getting started lying, but he done been lying for a long time, so he better at it than you. Do you understand? So you don't deal in lies yourself. When you know somebody else dealing in lies, the way you defeat the lie is with the truth. Or being hated, and don't give way to hating. You know, people come in, act a fool, do foolish things, and because they hate the truth and they hate me for speaking the truth. And so they try to make noise or do something to annoy me. But, you know, I don't have to rail and go on. All I have to do is cast them in hell and then mute them out. So it says, and even after that, don't give in to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. Don't nobody like to be talked down to. You know, I try my best to never make people think that I'm one of them holier than thou people that, you know, can't want to act like you go to the bathroom and you the only one can defecate and it don't stink and all that old kind of mess. But you know, I always try my best to make you realize that I truly do care about people, and I care what people think of me, and I'm always trying to think the best of people. You know, but at the same time, I'm not going to lie for you. You're not doing anybody a favor when you tell them that they have a beautiful suit on while they standing there naked. You do better to tell them, hey, you need to go put some clothes on, man. Don't you have any shame? As if you can dream and not make dreams your master. Well, you know, many people, they get so wrapped up in their dreams that they can't deal with reality. They forget that that's just a dream. You got to deal with reality regardless of what you dreaming about doing or whatever. You got to stay rooted in reality. As the old saying goes, nothing come to a dream, but come to a sleep or but a dream. And if you want them dreams to come true, you got to wake up and get to work. So if you can dream and not make dreams all that your master does, your mind is your master, and and don't make dreams your master. Look at that story, Walter Mitty. Remember that? Time you look up, he was off in a dream world. But anyway, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, you got some people as professional schoolgoers. They know so much about everything. You would think they were so wise. And then you say, hey, man, what you doing? And he asks you, what do you mean? I mean, you got all that knowledge, man. What are you doing? And you discover that they spend all their time like people. Some people go around tasting food and get paid to go around and sample food and whatnot. That's all they do. And they're generally fat, and you know. And then you got some people that just go every time you look up, they somewhere in a book, got their nose in a book or somewhere, call themselves learning something. And all they're doing is getting a fat head, a big head, because they have made thoughts their whole purpose for being. If you can think and yet not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, triumph and disaster, you know, you got many people, in order to be happy, they got to be done won something. I got to be, you know, like some people are, one of the reasons that people become professional gamblers or just get addicted to gambling is because of the way it make them feel while they're doing it. And they win or lose. That's the result of what they're doing. When they don't realize they're looking for peace in the wrong place. There ain't but one source for peace, and that's Almighty God Allah, His word. When you practice and obey the word of God, you enter into a life of peace. Everything you do, you find peace in it. You see, but you know, everything else isn't. That's why Mr. Kipling, he referred to triumph and disaster as imposters. You see, most people associate winning or being triumphant. They associate that with God, and they associate disasters with the devil, which neither one of them is God and neither one of them the devil. They are the effect of you doing something that you have chosen to do instead of doing that which God made you for, which was to fear him and keep his commandments. So, as if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. That's what people have did with the word of God. They have did with the words of the prophets that they left here. You notice whenever they get ready to, I remember when people used to, when I was in church, every time they get ready to pass the collection plate, they'd song inevitably was, "You Can't Be God-Given." And the more you give, the more he gives to you. And they, you know, that is, that's the words to it. Just keep on giving, because it's really true. You can't be God-given. Yeah, if you had been given to God, you wouldn't be living in poverty if you had been given to God. You keep giving God things, he keep giving back to you, giving you back something, but you didn't listen to the song. Otherwise, you would have known that you haven't been given to God. You've been giving it to the preacher. You've been giving it to what you say to the church. But that's not God. So, sir, are their phone number there? Okay, let them ask me the question. May wa alaikum ala salam.
Oh, I was noticing that, a lady, she was talking at John McCain event, and she was talking about the air that.
Wait a minute. We've been over that already. I don't want to go back over that. I've already taught on that.
Okay, well,
okay.
Something else I wanted to ask
all right.
you too. I think I forgot. I asked some other time.
Okay, all right. And it says,
Q&A queue is cleared.
It says, twisted. It says, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by con men to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. Patriots in this country, for instance, I learned about patriotism in America. In school, first, I learned about patriotism in elementary school. And, in this country, it is taught that you're not so much as, and it is reiterated every time you hear people take oaths of office, that patriotism requires you to respect the Constitution. Which is the guarantor, that's the contract of America with all of its people. And when you see people in positions of power that are not honoring and upholding that, they cause a break in that Constitution. And that's, as he said, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. How many times have you been saying something, and somebody told you, look, you done said it, now don't wear it out. Huh? That's because it's been said over and over and over. But, yes, it's been said over and over and over. Treat others as you like to be treated. But it's just as true the millionth time that you hear it as it was the first time that you heard it. And it's still just as an effective tool after the billionth time as it was the first time it was heard. But to some, it may be a worn out tool. Huh? Yeah. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, how people say, I got all this, and then they say, well, here I go, I give it all. The scripture talks about that. It's not gambling, though. But that's about how much money should mean to, and wealth of material things. That's how you should treat these things of this world. Stop giving them more value than they are worth. People used to carve out little images, and once they got it all polished up, then the fool goes and bow down to it and call it his God. Likewise, people amass a lot of material things and money and all of that kind of thing. And then they act like if they lose that, oh, life is over. That's because they started worshiping the things that they made. And forgot the real treasure was the knowledge of understanding that you had of how to make them things. If you made them once, you could make them again. But anyway, the scripture says that the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man that went out in search of goodly pearls. And when he found one pearl of great price, he went and sold all that he had and bought that. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force, you notice, Abraham, a good example. Had a son and a wife. God told him to go leave Hagar and Ishmael out there in the wilderness. He never made a grumble about it. Remember Job? Job had sons and daughters, had wealth, lost it all. All he said was, the Lord gave, the Lord take away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Huh? Never breathed a word about his loss. And it says, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone. And I experienced that in a physical way in boot camp. When I don't know what helped me to keep on running. And, I thought I just couldn't do it, but I kept doing it because I saw the man next to me doing it. So I made myself keep up too. Because in my mind, he wasn't no better man than me. And I know, that applies to many areas. It's just like, look, I was born into poverty. I had never, actually, I never thought that I would ever be other than in what I grew up in. So I accepted that. Until I heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he said, up, you mighty nation, you can accomplish what you will. All of a sudden, not only was he telling us that, he was showing us how to do it. So unite with your brother, unite with each other, pool your resources. Do for yourself what you see white people doing right in front of you. You see, the Mexican community, they live 4 and 5 families in the house. Next thing you know, they done bought up the whole block. Everybody doing what the messenger was saying, but the very people he was telling it to. Pooling their resources, uniting with their own kind and pooling their resources and doing for themselves. He said, don't tell yourself that you can't do what you see another person that put their pants on one leg at a time, put their shoes on one leg at a time. They urinate and use the bathroom and require food just like you. A quitter don't never win. And the reason people win is because they don't quit. So, if you can force your heart and nerve and send you to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. In other words, don't quit. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, you know, it's easy to get caught up in a crowd, man. It's easy to get caught into following the crowd. But if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, your principles. Look what John McCain did when them people was getting ready to clamor up to start lying on Obama and saying he ain't no American, he ain't no that. John McCain stopped it. He didn't get caught up in it. Huh? Let him start booing him. And then he told him, he said, look, if I didn't think I would be a better president than him, I wouldn't be running. But I don't have to lie on him to get the chance to show you that I'm a better president. Because if I have to lie on the man, well, then maybe I'm not better. You don't have to lie on somebody that you are better than. You can just tell the truth about yourself and them. Huh? There you go. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. You see? You know, that's the one thing that I liked about as I look back over my history, that I was able to, I could go around grown people and I could have conversations with them and they wouldn't run me off, and they would share things with me and talk to me sometimes like they was talking to another adult. And then I could go back around people my age and I could talk with them the same as we always did. I learned to adjust my thought pattern and my thinking to whatever the occasion called for. Always be mindful of where you are and who you're with. And then make adjustments so as to, not come off as phony. That's not being phony, it's knowing what time it is and how you should conduct yourself. And he says, but don't lie. But also when you're in If you're speaking to a $5 audience, why are you using $50 words? When you walk into a place where there are children, for instance, you don't go into an arena of children asking, "Do you give me change for this 50 here?" Well, what kind of thing is that? You speak to people in language that they understand, and that's not condescending, but in their language. And that don't mean trying to use all that slang to speak to them, because then they know you are condescending. And if you're not condescending, something wrong when you use slang and whatnot. That's not, you're supposed to outgrow that eventually. It does not sound right for me, a 67-year-old man, standing up talking like, what you dissing me for? And, you know, I don't even know how to do it now. I don't want to learn, really. You know, I'll just go on and say disrespect. And, you know, every now and then I may use a term like that, but not often. You know, what's up, dog, and all that. I ain't got no business talking like that. I mean, when I was a youngster and some older brother, man old enough to be my granddaddy, coming up to me and telling me, "Hey, cat, what's happening?" It sounded strange coming from him. It sounded normal coming from some of us. But for him to say that, I expected more from him than that. I didn't realize that's what it was, but it just didn't sound right coming from him. I guess because my daddy didn't talk like that. My daddy spoke like an adult all the time. And so I guess I remembered that more than I thought I did. There's, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. You see, when you get to the point where people do wrong, especially me, and I can't remind them that, hey, brother, you know Allah don't want us doing that or doing that. Well, you done got too close to that person. You done put them where you should have put God. That's why in the teachings of Islam, that Allah will come between a man and his heart. You know, your heart is that which you give your heart, your love to. Well, you put Allah between you and that which you love, and Allah is the glue that will hold you together. You see, there ain't no such thing as a relationship of two people that don't have the word of God between them. That relationship ain't gonna last. If it does, it's gonna be a miserable one. So, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, that's just another way of saying, if you value time and don't waste time, but every minute of your life that you are awake, use it. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. You see? So I try to remember the words of my forefathers. I like that term, forefathers. Where's your brain at? Inside your forehead, huh? My forefathers. Yeah. Every time any wise man leaves words of wisdom, and you grasp it and you take it in, then he's helping you become another man, a duplicate of himself. All wise minds are duplicates of one another. They are twins. They're just not identical twins. But be careful. The fool and the wise are also twins. A wise man, when you check him, when you go to speak to him, he will utter all of that wisdom, that which his mind is composed of. That's how you find out he's wise. A fool also utters all his mind. So you have to, recognize that just as there's no such thing as identical twins, check the fingerprints and you'll discover they are not identical. Is that right? All right then. I never saw twins yet that after I got to know them, I didn't see that they wasn't. Everybody called them identical twins. I could always tell the difference in them. You just learn. Have you ever seen twins that you could not recognize which was which after a while? I haven't either. See? So all praises to Allah.
Sir, you have a question?
Yes.
Kareem asks, did Paul Anka write the lyrics of the song?
He translated it from French into English, and they said he made a few tweaks on it. But that song is deep, ain't it? Yeah, man, that song. I could teach on that. Even as Caucasian people in general, they've did things their way. Even the religion of Christianity, that didn't come from God, that came from white people. That's why they can tell the Pope, hey, you need to resign, man. You get out of the way. You ain't doing it right. Huh? Well, that let you know, man, it's not like you think. That's why you don't hardly hear, you won't hear none of their scholars coming here they won't invite me either. Because, they like everybody, like in the Matrix, when Neo asked the oracle, what did Merrill Devengian want? She said, what do all men with power want? More power. And well, that's the problem. Most people, you hear that, and then depending on what level of understanding you're on, it has a different meaning. Because all wise men know that they should meet every day as a child in order to gain more knowledge, more wisdom. It's like a scientist when he looks in the lab, when he's studying a culture, The most intelligent thing that he can do is when he comes back the next day is come back knowing what level he's already been on, and then become a child again, waiting for the next level to reveal itself. Do you understand? So yes, what do all men with knowledge want? They want more knowledge. Well, that's a positive thing. But most people think that power, because one of the meanings of power is also authority or influence over. And that's how most people view it. A person that has authority or influence, that has influence over others, yeah, they always want more. And pretty soon they ruin themselves. They become what is called tyrants. The more you use other people to do what you want done, the less you wind up doing for yourself. And so the less you start to see yourself as you really are. Until pretty soon, you live your life through other people, forgetting that you are a person too. And just like a person gets angry when they can't move their hand or whatnot, and they shake it and do whatever they can to get it to, get the circulation in and whatnot. Tyrants do that to other people. They shake them to make them do what they want done, because they have lost touch with themselves and actually think that they are other people's keepers, that they have the right to enslave other people. Your mind already has a slave. It's that body that you in. That's your servant. Every other body has its own keeper. But a tyrant, he loses sight of that. But anyway, it's late. I'm tired. And we'll have plenty other times to talk. I want to again say that when you know that your heart ain't in something, it is better that you don't try to fake it than to manifest that you can be bent to other people's will and bent to other people's desire, even when it violates your principles. Especially when you're supposed to be the leader of the free world. So here's a man claiming he's making a trade agreement with Mexico, for instance, when they already had one that he tore up. And he also done insulted the people, accusing them and insulting them. And now I want to talk to him like he ain't, like he been their best friend. I told you you sent a child into the arena where you needed an adult. And that what I mean is you should let politicians handle the political arena. And you should get all of those robots and those puppets that Grover Norquist done signed up, bought and paid for them, and you don't know where they came from. This is how you know when you're dealing with a puppet. You ask him a question, and he answers you the same answer for every question that you ask him. They call them talking points. Well, that's a person who's been told, this is all I want you to say when you go out there. You say this. You're not talking to a real representative of the people. You are talking to a bought and paid for puppet of someone else. So, you know, you can weed them out. They're easy to find. All you gotta do is just get them to talk, and you realize that man don't got no business in Congress. You start talking to him about law. Ask him, what law school did you go to? He show you on paper. Then ask him some questions. Ask him to explain the Second Amendment. Ask him to explain the First Amendment and what it means and that kind of thing. Get into a real conversation with him, and you find out that all of their, if the FBI and the CIA, if they know how to give people new identities, that knowledge is floating around out there. There's other people who can give people new identities. Put him on a suit and tie and give him a haircut and give him a speech to say, and then publicize him and make him a household word. But I don't care how much you dress up a fool. I don't care how much you dress up a child and try to make them look like they are an adult. When they when you get him into a real adult conversation, you're going to find out you're dealing with a child. You understand? Okay. Yeah. Wake up and take your country back. You see? And you got these people in the lawmaking body of America that ain't got no business up there. Remind me Wednesday and I'm going to show you something. Remind me of what I just said. Okay? Any more questions? And like I said, I didn't even know that that's how they usually do it. But I figured that's the right way to do it, is you fly the flag at half mast until after the one that you are honoring has been laid to final rest. Then you raise it back up. Don't lower it halfway down and then decide you're going to raise it back up after before the person is funeralized. So, all right. May Allah's Salam alaikum.
This session is no longer.
Raise the flag back up after they done supposedly honored him.